In this video, we catch up with Steve and Jill aboard True Blue. After 3 months on the water, what do they think of their new electric narrowboat?
My thoughts on electric propulsion are that it's the future, so that's why I chose electric. So you've only got to look abroad, I think in Holland, where all boats have got to be electric, I believe, by a certain time. So that's what made me go down the road. The first thing you notice when you drive an electric boat is how quiet it is.
Mark from Waterways World also joins us on board, and the boat review will be in the October 2024 edition.
In the period since I've had it, we have a generator option, as you know. So if our batteries get low, we can run the generator, and I don't want to run this boat with the generator running. I've got so used to the quiet. So if I'm going to run the generator, if I need to run the generator, which currently is quite rare, it's going to be when I'm finished my cruising for the day or I've stopped at a local pub for lunch. The system allows me not to have the generator going as long as I plan my trip. I've got a huge battery bank, 800 amps.
So you feel that was well worth spending the extra money on the extra battery then?
Absolutely, yeah. It's just like having a 400 litre diesel tank or an 800 litre diesel tank. We've got an 800 amp hour battery bank as opposed to 400 one, and that gives us more scope to keep it not topped up so that we can top it up with the free stuff. We're cruising approximately on average 2 kilowatts an hour, so we've got a lot of time we can cruise. Obviously we're using other facilities in here that takes electric as well, so our batteries aren't solely for propulsion, but with planning we can plan our day without having to put the generator on whilst we're cruising. For me, it takes away the pleasure of an electric boat if I've got that noise. It's, you know, the big advantage of this boat is the quietness as you're cruising along. But of course the other benefits are we're getting a lot of our propulsion for free because we are drawing a lot from the sun when the sun's shining. But even when the sun's not shining, if we were to look at it now, I bet we've got 500-600 watts coming in even on this quite cold overcast day. So we are getting a lot of free energy.
You're in the marina, so does that mean you're on shore power all the time? You're using the shore powered leads, or? We
rarely use the shore power. We're not permanent cruisers, so we're currently on the boat most weekends, Thursday through to Sunday night or Monday. When we are not on the boat, we don't plug it in. We're running a full-size freezer and fridge. We also have an Alexa show on standby. We have our TV on standby. So we are drawing about 200, on average, about 200 watts an hour to keep this boat just on the mooring. But such as the input from the sun, we do not need to plug it in. That's going to change in the winter, of course, when we don't have so much solar energy coming in. But at the moment, we come back to this boat and we're somewhere between 95 and 100% each time we come back at the weekend, so even with those other facilities.
Yeah, so even in the winter then there's still quite a bit of capacity left there in reserve before you need to worry about shore power, do you think? Or
we'll see how it goes. I think there may be a time when we'll put the shore power on. We have the facility, of course, to monitor this remotely from anywhere in the world on our phone. So, and we do that from our home down in Poole. And so if our battery bank was to be getting low, I can turn on the generator remotely. But of course, the cost of energy from the generator is greater than if we're plugged in.
Yeah.
So if we know that we're going to suffer in the winter with a lack of solar energy, then we may plug in. But we don't know yet. This is something to discover during our first winter.
So what about in general, the boat itself? Sleeping okay, and you find it spacious and you've got enough to put all your belongings in? And
we like the layout. Obviously we gave it a lot of thought, a lot of consultation with yourself to get where we are. The bed's very comfortable. If there was one downside, and it's still an unknown thing, obviously the electrical motor is of a smaller horsepower than an average diesel engine. So if we were to go on a river or somewhere where there's a bit of current, I'm not sure how we'll fare, but that's something to find out. But that is, to me, is the only disadvantage. If it is a disadvantage, again, we don't know yet.
Statistically, there's been a lot proven that smaller props can be just as efficient as a bigger prop. So yeah, like say, I think that one, once we've tested the boat on the river. We'll have to come back with more feedback for the channel. So a lot of people ask us about the square stern. What's your feeling? Do you find that, you know, it is a bit more vulnerable to being knocked, or if you take your time? I always think that, you know, if you don't turn too sharp out of a lock or out of a bridge, you know, it gives you a lot more space outside with a squarer stern. But, you know, there's still a lot of traditional people that prefer the rounded stern. So as you've used it now, what's your opinion?
I think with a rounded stern, you have got a slight advantage over manoeuvring. I mean, if you're coming out of a tight spot, you can turn slightly quicker. And I was a little bit concerned because this was my first ever square stern. But actually, it's not a problem. You don't notice it. I don't think it's been vulnerable at all. What we have got is a massive social area, and that outweighs any disadvantages. So
You wouldn't change that?
no, absolutely wouldn't. No, I mean, I love that big social area that we've got.
Yeah.
I mean, all this means is that if you're coming out of a tight area, you're just going to delay your turn an extra couple of feet. So it's just like, instead of having a 60-foot boat, we might be turning at the point as if we had a 62-foot boat.
Yeah.
So it's very little practical difference, really.
Yeah, just taking your time and just making your manoeuvre just that little bit later. Yeah, no. And what about, so the bow on this is different as well. Obviously, you haven't got the big well deck area. Do you feel that you've missed out by not having that front area, or again because the stern is so social that you don't need that bow area?
We're not missing the bow area. When I first thought that we would lose the bow, it was a concern. But then I thought back to the boat we had previously, and I thought, well, what did we use it for? Well, we would dump our coal and our kindling and our wood and gas bottles. We don't have any of that. No. So we don't need it. And also what having the deck on the bow before meant was that if we had a party of 4 people on here, 2 would be at the front and 2 would be at the back. So it wasn't very good for socialising.
No.
Now, if we have guests, they're forced to sit at the back with us.
Whether they like it or not. Yeah. And you chose to go for the composting toilet. How's that performing? Is that as expected, or?
Now composting toilet. All canal boat discussions get onto toilets.
Yeah. Everybody loves it.
18 months ago,
toilets.
if you'd have mentioned composting toilets to me and the principle of operation, no, it wasn't for me. We did think long and hard what we were going to have, and the 2 main options were pump out or cassette. And we have a cassette toilet in our camper van, and to be honest, it's not a problem. So that was going to be my preferred choice. But then by chance, I kept meeting people that had compost toilets, and I was blown away by their enthusiasm. Nobody was saying bad things about them. There had to be something that caused their enthusiasm. So we took a chance and had it. And I've got to say, it's probably one of the best decisions we made on this boat. It is amazing. I mean, I thought a cassette toilet was amazing, but this is far easier.
So how many times in the 3 months have you had to refill with diesel?
Oh, we haven't.
You haven't?
No, we put 100, just over 100 litres in when we launched on the 15th of May, and I think we've used about a quarter of it.
Economically, then you'd say it does literally save you money in the long term, and you know it's going to be more cost effective than running a diesel engine. And
well, so far, bearing in mind we've only had the summer, really, not that we had much of a summer this year, but from May until now, beginning of August, absolutely, yeah, it's very economical. We put no diesel in since we put some in the tank when we launched. We plug in once a month just to bring the batteries up to 100%, because that's recommended once a month, but we don't need to do it because the sun brings it up, and typically, say it's operating between 95 and 100%, sat on the mooring here anyway. So our running costs so far have been minimal to almost zero, really. Of course, that's going to go up in the winter when we would use diesel, because we've got heating which is provided by the diesel, and if we were cruising, we're probably not going to get enough energy from the sun and the short days to sustain us for more than a couple of hours a day, so we would run our generator more. But currently now, absolutely, economically, this is the way to go.
You get on with everybody around here, and
well, this marina we find very, very friendly staff, and everyone we've met so far is very friendly. We like it here a lot. But if I'm honest, everywhere we go and we meet people out on the cut, it just seems a very friendly pastime, this canal boat in Lark. And it's come to us fairly late in life. We've only been involved for sort of 3 or 4 years now, but yeah, we're loving it, and met lots of very nice people.
We'll keep in touch, and hope you have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, and thanks for building such a lovely boat.
No problem, my pleasure.
But more importantly, Molly loves the boat as well.